Work has started in Wiltshire to build the country's first solar panel park, under a scheme encouraging the production of alternative energy.
The solar farm near Malmesbury is small, covering an acre and powering around 20 homes. But proposals are being put forward for much larger schemes across the region. The company behind the Wiltshire project, Suntroom, has already developed 3 solar parks in Spain.
Our environment correspondent Duncan Slytone reports on what's being called the solar gold rush heading here to the west.
It is a science fiction of the past, now being touted by some as a future for farming. Solar cells seemingly plucking power from thin air. The warmth of the sun now sparking an industry hungry to expand across the West Country.
I think it will be very profitable for the south of the UK, and because it's very sunny. It's more sunny than people think.
There are around 1,700 towers of photovoltaic cells in this park in Los Arcos in northern Spain. It produces enough electricity for around 600 homes. The height of these towers of photovoltaic cells is perhaps bigger than we will see in the UK, but nevertheless the size of this park gives you a good idea of the size of the projects planned for the West Country. The company behind this park in Spain, Sunstroom, has plans for one twice this size in Wiltshire. At the moment, the biggest private scheme in the UK is on the roof of the cowshed at Worthy Farm in Somerset, home of the Glastonbury Festival. It is tiny, though, compared with some of the large schemes now being proposed elsewhere.
A day like today is producing all this electricity, and even yesterday, pouring rain, clouds, dark as anything, we were getting 30 odd kilowatts from it. It's so extraordinary.
To give you a rough indication of how much electricity solar farms may produce, if you've got a dishwasher on, a television or two, a few lights on around the house and perhaps a kettle boiling for a cup of tea, your home is probably using about 5 kilowatts or 5,000 watts of electricity. So a 1 megawatt solar farm producing 1 million watts could meet the demand of around 200 homes. To put it into context though, a nuclear power station like Hinkley Point generates 900 times that amount of electricity. The drive for new sources of energy in Spain began in earnest when a feed-in tariff was introduced a few years ago, guaranteeing payment for the electricity produced. It's the same kind of scheme introduced this year in Britain. Here in Spain, they think they're probably about 5 years ahead of the UK when it comes to the development of solar parks. So they've already learned that it's not as simple as just choosing a field and installing solar panels. Firstly, several £1 million of investment is needed up front for a 1 megawatt farm. Solar parks also need planning permission, and only 2 schemes in the UK have it so far. Both of those are on brownfield sites.
There is a sort of rising desire to use the land for things other than its traditional uses, so food, farming and all the rest of that. There's a place for some of these things, but that doesn't mean that we necessarily need to have a whole-scale and complete change.
Sun levels in the West Country are similar to northern Spain and places like Germany where solar parks are already established. Parks in this country will be limited in size by legislation to 5 megawatts. Mind you, at 30 to 40 acres, the biggest will still cover the area of 20 football pitches.
If you do it in different areas, you can have a perfect balance in the electricity generation of the future and the environment.
Feed-in tariffs are expected to be reviewed in 18 months' time, so developers are having to work quickly to make the most of them. This run to the sun has just started, but may yet prove to be short-lived. Duncan Slytone in northern Spain for the West Country Tonight.